My wife wants an open relationship, but I don't. Am I overreacting? Reddit advice. Reddit. I'm at a crossroads in my marriage and feel completely lost. My wife, Liz, who I've loved and trusted for years, dropped a bombshell on me a few weeks ago. She wants to try an open relationship. It's something I never thought would come up between us, and now I find myself questioning everything. I'm not sure how to process it or how to feel. I've always thought we were on the same page about commitment, and now I'm torn between wanting to make her happy and protecting my own feelings. We've been married for 6 years, together for 9. We met during our university years, and like many young couples, we were full of excitement, dreams, and hopes for the future. Our relationship was built on trust, mutual respect, and a lot of love. We've had our ups and downs like any other couple, but we've always managed to work through things. Our early years together were filled with so much passion and adventure. We traveled a lot, went on spontaneous trips, and shared many firsts together. First apartment, first dog, and even our first business venture. Things were exciting, and our connection felt unbreakable. We were that couple that friends would look to as an example of a strong partnership. But like all relationships, things evolved. Once we settled into our careers and started thinking about our long-term future, the relationship naturally became more routine. It wasn't necessarily a bad thing. I think we both appreciated the stability. We started saving for a house, building our careers, and even discussing the possibility of starting a family. Everything felt like it was progressing the way it was supposed to. Then, about 3 months ago, things started to shift. Liz became more distant, not in an obvious way, but enough for me to notice. She wasn't as interested in spending time together, and our conversations felt a little forced. I chalked it up to stress at work. She had recently taken on a more demanding role, and I figured the change in her attitude was temporary. I tried to be supportive, giving her space, and trying to pick up the slack around the house. Little did I know, the distance was leading to a bigger conversation. A few weeks ago, after dinner, Liz sat me down and told me she wanted to talk. She started off slowly, saying how much she loved me and how important our relationship was to her. She then went on to say she's been thinking a lot about her desires and needs, and that she's come to a realization she wants to explore being in an open relationship. My heart dropped. I honestly didn't know how to respond. Open relationship? This wasn't something we had ever talked about before. Sure, we've had the occasional conversation about attraction to other people, like joking about celebrity crushes, but never in a million years did I think she would actually want to act on those feelings. She explained that she's been feeling like something's missing, and that opening up our relationship could help her feel more fulfilled without taking away from what we have. She was careful in how she worded it, saying that this wasn't about her not loving me, but rather about expanding what love and intimacy mean for her. She assured me that she wasn't looking for a way out of our marriage, but instead, a way to enhance it. But for me, it didn't feel like enhancement, it felt like betrayal. I'll be honest, I didn't handle the conversation well at first. I was shocked, hurt, and angry. I asked Liz if there was someone else she was interested in, and she said no, it wasn't about any one person. It was about the concept of an open relationship, the freedom to explore other connections without ending what we have. I couldn't wrap my head around it. How could she want to be with someone else while still being married to me? Did this mean she wasn't satisfied with me anymore? Was this her way of saying our marriage wasn't enough? We sat there in silence for what felt like hours. I didn't know what to say, and honestly, I didn't want to say anything in that moment. I needed time to process everything. That night, I couldn't sleep. My mind was racing with thoughts of what this could mean for us. Would agreeing to this mean the end of our marriage as we know it? Would I lose Liz to someone else? Or worse, would I lose myself in the process? The very thought of her being intimate with another person felt like a punch to the gut. I didn't know how I would ever be able to accept it, let alone continue in our marriage. In the days that followed, I tried to educate myself on the concept of open relationships. I read articles, listened to podcasts, and even lurked in some Reddit communities where people shared their experiences with open marriages. I wanted to understand what Liz was asking for and whether it was something that could truly work without destroying the foundation of our relationship. From what I gathered, open relationships aren't as uncommon as I thought. Many couples seem to find success in them. But it's not without its challenges. Communication, boundaries, and trust are key, and even then, there's no guarantee that things will work out. Some people flourish in these arrangements, while others find that it tears them apart. One common theme I noticed was that open relationships tend to work best when both parties are fully on board from the beginning. It's not something that can be forced or half-heartedly agreed to. If one person isn't comfortable with the idea, it can lead to resentment, jealousy, and ultimately, the breakdown of the relationship. There's also the idea that open relationships can allow for personal growth, exploration, and more fulfilled emotional needs. But I struggled to see how that would work for me. I wasn't someone who desired to be with multiple people. For me, monogamy was never something I questioned. I've always believed in being fully committed to one person. And more than that, I didn't want to share Liz. At the same time, I didn't want to shut her down without fully understanding where she was coming from. I love her, and I want her to be happy, but can I be happy in a relationship where my wife is seeking emotional and physical connections with other people? Liz and I had several conversations after her initial bombshell. She was very patient with me, and I could tell she genuinely wanted to have a productive discussion. She reassured me repeatedly that her desire for an open relationship wasn't about a lack of love for me. She said she still loved me deeply, and that this was about expanding our marriage rather than replacing it. She talked about how society's expectations of monogamy sometimes felt restrictive, and that maybe there was a different way to love that could benefit both of us. She also said that she had been thinking about this for a while, but had hesitated to bring it up because she didn't want to hurt me. She didn't expect me to say yes right away, or even at all, but she felt it was important for our relationship that she was honest about her desires. I asked her if she had always felt this way, and she admitted that over the last year or so, she had started to question whether monogamy was the right fit for her. She didn't feel like there was something wrong with our marriage, but more that she wanted the freedom to explore other connections while still maintaining the life we had built together. It was hard to hear. On one hand, I was grateful for her honesty. On the other hand, I couldn't help but feel like this was the beginning of the end. I tried to keep an open mind and understand her point of view, but every time I thought about her being with someone else, a wave of jealousy and fear washed over me. One of my biggest concerns is jealousy. I know myself well enough to admit that seeing Liz with someone else would drive me crazy. I've always been the kind of person who is deeply invested in my relationships, and the thought of her forming intimate connections with others is painful. I don't know how I would handle the inevitable comparisons, whether physical, emotional, or sexual. What if the person she's with makes her feel things that I can't? What if she realizes that she's happier with them than with me? These thoughts swirl around in my head constantly, and no matter how much I try to rationalize it, I can't seem to shake the fear of being replaced. There's also the issue of trust. I trust Liz completely, at least. I did before this. But now, part of me wonders if she's already thinking about other people, or if she has someone in mind. She says she doesn't, and I believe her, but the seed of doubt has been planted. If we were to open our relationship, how would I ever know if she was truly content with our arrangement, or if she was just going along with it for my sake? Another major concern is the potential impact on our marriage. We've spent years building a life together, and I fear that opening up our relationship could unravel everything we've worked for. What if one of us gets too attached to someone else? What if we drift apart as a result? I also worry about how this would affect our future plans. We've talked about starting a family, and I wonder what kind of example we would set for our children if we were in an open relationship. How would we navigate the complexities of parenting while being romantically involved with other people? It all feels so overwhelming. That's why I'm here. Reddit. I need advice. Am I overreacting for not wanting to open up my marriage? I've read stories where couples have successfully navigated open relationships and come out stronger on the other side. But I've also seen plenty of stories where it ends in heartbreak. I don't want to be the insecure or jealous husband who shuts down my wife's desires, but I also don't know if I can emotionally handle what she's asking for. Has anyone else gone through something similar? If so, how did you make it work? Did it strengthen your relationship, or did it lead to problems down the road? And for those of you who decided against it, how did you come to that decision? Was your partner understanding, or did it create tension? I'm at a point where I need to make a decision, but I'm torn between wanting to make Liz happy and protecting myself from potential pain. I don't know what the right answer is, and I feel like I'm walking a fine line between losing her by saying no or losing myself by saying yes. I appreciate any insights or advice you can offer. This is by far the most difficult situation I've faced in my marriage, and I'm really struggling to find a way forward.